Next, from Camp Ramadi in Iraq, State Representative Jim Watson, who is currently serving with the U.S. Marines, tells us what he's seen and experienced while in Iraq and what's being accomplished in the effort to build a functioning democracy in the Anbar Province of Iraq. Hi, I'm Terry Martin. State Representative Jim Watson represents the 97th District in the Illinois House. That's an area just west of Springfield. He also has another title, and that is Sergeant in the U.S. Marines. And earlier this year, Representative Watson volunteered to serve in Iraq, where he has been stationed for the last 6 months. He is currently stationed at Camp Ramadi, which is part of the Anbar Province, and he's using there his experience as an Illinois state legislator to meet with local members of the Iraqi Council and to help them structure some of their democratic infrastructure. We had an opportunity to speak with him about his experiences, what is being achieved, and some of the elements faced by members of the U.S. Armed Forces there. Representative Watson, thanks for joining us on the Illinois Channel. How long have you now been in Iraq?
We got here in February. I'm attached to a civil military operations unit. Our primary function is to build capacity in economics, education, governance, and rule of law. And the whole thinking, the whole idea behind this, as part of General Petraeus' counterinsurgency strategy, which, by the way, I feel has been very effective, is to build things, to build capacity so that the Iraqi government can make the decisions that they need to make on their own, and Americans can significantly reduce our presence here.
If you could, tell us a bit about your assignment.
My assignment in Iraq has evolved, as our mission has evolved. Initially it was a lot of research on different legislation that was passed in Baghdad. Then it was proposals of legislation and how it would affect us, so that we could do some forward thinking, as to where we needed to be, ahead of the curve, and what we needed to do to assist the Anbaris. We started out in Fallujah, now I'm at Camp Ramadi. Ramadi is in essence the capital of Anbar. It's where the provincial government meets, it's where the governor is, and so it's where we needed to be. Now I'm currently serving as the liaison to the provincial government, so I meet with the vice chairman, work with him on issues that are mutual benefit to both coalition forces and to the Iraqis, the Anbaris. Sometimes try to work out agreements, sometimes just simply relaying messages from people in the other cells, whether it's infrastructure or education. So it's been a fascinating experience for me. It's been great to see, to kind of see how we've gone from, at one point this was one of the most dangerous places in the world, to 12, 15 months later we're talking about PIC, which is provincial Iraqi control. And planning for, okay, when will we be able to turn that over? When will the Iraqis take over entire security for the province? And that's significant progress that has been made.
And in your meetings with the Iraqis, can you tell us about what they are doing to make improvements in their own society?
I think the biggest thing you could say, if you ask me what one thing I've learned from the Iraqis, it's endurance. If you look at everything that these folks have been through, whether it's under Saddam's reign, under the wars, these folks are, they just endure, they survive. And this can be a harsh climate, as we will see. They've lived through a lot. They have, the IP, the Iraqi police force, and the ISF, the security forces, have really taken this war to the insurgents. There was a time when we helped them, but really, at the end of the day, they're going to win and they're going to succeed on their own efforts, and they are stepping up. Now they're preparing for elections. That's pretty much our main focus, is to try to help make sure these are fair and safe elections, that we have as small a role as possible. It's an all-Iraqi event, and hopefully that Anbar will have a significant turnout as they try to move forward. The test of any nascent democracy is the ability to transition power from one entity to the next peacefully, and that's what we're working on here.
Are there any achievements of note to share with us since you've been working there?
Well, I think if you look at, there's significant achievements all over. People talk about the police force and the Sons of Iraq. People talk about the role of the tribes Some people have been critical of it. I happen to think it's part of this culture and part of the, and these tribes have stepped up when this country and this province needed them and had a positive role. You look at the provincial council. They are meeting on a regular basis and learning every day. Sometimes, some of them they're learning the political game, the stuff that we get used to back at home in the States, the stuff that a lot of us get tired of. They're just starting to figure it out. But they do show up. They do have votes. They're getting there, and the governor has done a fabulous job. I mean, that man has survived and endured a lot, and my hat's off to them.
You had some impressions about Iraq before going there. Now that you've been there on the ground, if you would, tell us how the reality compares with the impressions you had before you went there.
You prepare yourself for coming into this environment for a level of violence. And I think when we were coming over, the violence and the level of violence and incidences per month it was significant. And now we're down. It's dropped probably 90% of where it was. So that on one hand is a great thing, and it's been a relief. It allowed me to do my job. Two, I never realized how hard it was for a people and a government that has never experienced democracy to build it. I mean, the things that we take for granted that we are so blessed with, they don't have. And I think it's easy for Americans to say, well, why can't they just do it on their own? Why can't they just get there? I think we need to go back and look at our own history and see how long did it take before we truly integrated and gave women the right to vote? How long did it take for us to truly help and realize that there's a significant portion of the population, African Americans, who were denied just basic rights? How long did it take for us to come to an agreement on the type of constitution that we wanted? So lots of challenges that we have faced that they are currently facing.
Could you tell us, what would you want Illinoisans and the rest of America to understand about the situation going on there in Iraq?
I think the biggest thing and the biggest, from what I read before and what I see now, and you really don't hear it mentioned anymore, is that the so-called surge did work. If you look at Anbar today compared to pre-surge numbers and what it is today, this is a safer place. And it's a safer place because the troops allowed the local governments to function. It gave them the ability to step up and start exercising those governmental muscles, those leadership muscles. And it disheartens me when I see folks, who have never been here, who have never experienced it, to criticize that just to criticize it. I think it's important that when we as planners, we as politicians, we as leaders need to look at all the facts on the ground as we plan and move forward.